All right. Some more somber, sad stuff, I guess. But this is I was waiting for this video because Josh Strife-Hayes is pretty solid on his MMO takes, and he made his Ashes video, so I don't think it needs much more of an intro. Here we go. Why does this keep happening?
Creation, a Kickstarter MMORPG which raised millions of dollars through a combination of private investment, Kickstarter support, paid for early access, and extremely expensive in-game shop items and bundles, promised players a complex, deep, and reactive world, and has shut down roughly 1 month after releasing into early access on Steam. And this news has shocked...
Guys, it hasn't shut down. He just doesn't have control of the company, and they're going to sue. It's going to go to the courts, and he's going to get it back. I promise.
Absolutely no one who has seen this story play out again and again and again. Game project overpromises and raises money through hopes and dreams, people are skeptical and get called haters, then the project dies, and yet it will continue to play out again many more times in our lifetimes because the MMORPG player base are desperate, trusting, and easily convinced a bright new future lays just beyond the horizon, and the next project will be the one, guys, for real, trust me, bro. But why does this keep happening? Why do Kickstarted crowdfunded MMORPG projects keep popping up?
This isn't SC. Unfortunately, this is very SC adjacent. Basically the fantasy MMO version of Star Citizen just closed because the project was wildly mismanaged by its incredibly ambitious CEO. And this doesn't mean that Star Citizen is going to fail, but let me tell you, the writing was on the wall in 2017, 2016-ish, right? It was again on the wall a couple of years ago. And luckily, we have the stupidest community on planet Earth and fund this game and its single-player counterpart immensely with game-breaking pay-to-win purchases. And yeah, so it will continue for as long as that continues to happen. And CIG smartly, to keep their doors open, not necessarily making the best game possible, but to keep their doors open, have sold every single aspect of the game. You can buy from a healing med gun to a tractor beam, all the way up to land to a giant spaceship that is literally basically a space station.
Promising something amazing, taking loads of money off you, and then dying without giving you a game.
Thank you,
and
Kara.
more importantly, why do people keep throwing money at them, assuming this will be the one that finally delivers all its promises, as if we have no precedent for what is likely to happen? Well, I think I can explain it, at least a bit of it, and it's mostly to do with how these people that support these projects aren't actually buying a game. They're putting a down payment on a potential future community which involves them, because no current community does. Hello, I'm Josh Strife-Hayes. I make videos about MMO
And that is Star Citizen in a nutshell.
RPGs. I cover everything from games which released decades ago like RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, or The Elder Scrolls Online, up to the most popular MMORPGs of today like RuneScape, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, Guild Wars 2, and The Elder Scrolls Online.
Did you guys catch that part? Did you catch that?
This hasn't changed, it will never change. But why? Why hasn't a new upstart game broken into the cycle and taken the player base away? Where
the thing about Ashes is it was very much being built in the vein of those games. And that's why Ashes felt like a good, like, next MMO for me. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Again, I backed it and then watched from afar and waited. And yeah.
is the WoW killer everyone keeps talking about? And why do Kickstarter MMORPGs keep promising the world, collecting millions of pounds of backers' money, and then not delivering? And why will they keep doing this forever? To understand
Chat, what are pounds?
And why this Ashes of Creation thing happened, and why it will happen again, we need to look at the state of the genre as a whole, the general player base, the hardcore, terminally online people who keep saying they want a new MMORPG and why they want that, and then why it seems accepted that giving millions of pounds to a project which isn't playable is fine, but if an actual existing game asked for the same things, they'd be raked over the coals. So let's look at that. As usual, a massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who keep this channel alive. More information on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. And let's begin with something really direct. I don't really care about Ashes of Creation. I made a video 4 years ago called Don't Believe the Hype, where I was heavily critical of the game project back then as well. I've no interest in it because I knew it was going through the same motions I've seen others go through before. I'm not saying I knew all along or I told you so, I'm saying that I'm hedging my bets based on the evidence we have. And when I heard it shut down because the director, Stephen Shariff, was removed and the board of directors were making changes he couldn't agree with, I wasn't particularly upset.
I wasn't that upset either. I was surprised. Because I didn't know, like, why, where did they give us any indication that this was the setup there? It was always like, I paid for everything, which I never believed, but I thought it was us paying for the rest. Who the hell are these other guys?
And it's odd that Stephen has repeatedly said they don't have investors they answer to, and then the board of directors, according to the incorporation documents, was him, but actually no, the company was sold a few months ago and now they do because it was sold to private equity. And remember, the original Kickstarter had the clause, if the game doesn't release, they'll refund everyone, which sounds great, and then just over a month ago they're getting released on Steam, meaning this clause is now legally covered.
But it released in early access. Is that considered release? God damn, if that, dude, that is the craziest rug pull. I didn't even think of that part.
Awfully convenient that. It's almost like it was planned specifically to do that, but I'm sure it's just a coincidence. Look, this is a complex thing. I don't have visibility behind the scenes for any actual sources. I'd suggest you go and watch Kira TV's video on the whole mess. He's been following this way longer than I have and has a far deeper understanding than I do. He makes videos with patience and integrity. I don't care about Ashes of Creation specifically. But what I do care about is why do people keep giving projects like this money? Why is it a cycle? Why?
Because they don't want to play a game that looks like this anymore, because there's lots of games that look better, but they want to play a game that plays like this in a better looking world. Or let's use, I don't know, Tarkov wipes, for example. Like, they work. Rust wiping works. So, like, starting again in an MMO, like, new, fresh start servers work. So you, like, get that feeling, but in an entirely new world. So it is a completely new experience. That's why I think I'm interested in it, is I do really get drawn to that very, very beginning. That's a terrible example because Rust is an awful community. You're an idiot and aren't listening to anything that I'm saying. I'm sorry. How do you take that bad community equals bad example? It doesn't matter. The wiping system works because starting fresh is you have a clean slate and you get to start. That's like a silly comment to make. Also, I will DM you back. I read it yesterday, but we were doing Hathor.
Have we seen MMORPGs pop up, promise the world, take money, and then die again and again? Why do people point out the risks with these projects, the issues, the red flags, and yet the supporters rabidly defend their project, often bullying or harassing people who speak out against it? Why are people so emotionally invested in something which doesn't actually exist? To understand how we've got here, and why we will be here again and again no matter what we do, I need to say something people may not like. But allow me to explain. MMORPGs aren't good games. At least not from a game design point of view where maximizing the fun at a moment-to-moment level is the priority. I say this as someone who loves the genre and has thousands of hours in multiple games. The moment-to-moment gameplay is mediocre at best in most of them, and kind of dull in some of them, because the gameplay was never really the focus. The main selling point was this is a virtual world. You can have a second life in it. There's even a game literally called Second Life because it understands this. While tab target combat is perfectly functional with lots of people, and action combat can be engaging and flashy and exciting, if an MMORPG released as a single-player RPG, it would likely be slated as players would say it's way too grindy, way too many reskinned enemies or formulaic quests, dungeons or bosses. And that's because one of the focuses of the MMO is having a lot of stuff. And the easiest way to make a lot of stuff is to make the player do the same stuff a lot. Repetition and grind is kind of the point. It's a genre aiming at a player base who like the grind. And what makes the grind enjoyable was always the player base itself. Now, this doesn't mean always actively interacting with other people. I've made a video on why many people play MMORPGs solo. I do.
Yep. I always, like, I think 90% of my playtime in MMORPGs is solo. But to go to the bank area or the main social hub for the game and just see people and know the world is alive, and specifically player-driven economy MMOs, look at the marketplace and know the game is alive, is one of the strongest selling points.
Many times. But it's the presence of other people within a world which makes the world pleasant to exist within. You can talk to other people, chill together, work together, or enjoy the human ambience created by knowing other people can see your achievements and you're progressing through and contributing to a world other people also love. You have value and connection, even if not actively explored. Which means the biggest strength of the MMORPG genre was the community around it. Now, playing games with other people online used to be a novel thing, and MMOs really tapped into this as their central focus, their core design. Play with others.
That was the thing back in the day. It was like, this is a new thing. This is a special thing. You were playing, you know, the closest thing that you got to like a multiplayer experience for me was like Warcraft, StarCraft.
Other people. And as the years have moved on, that's not novel anymore. And now the MMORPG genre is trying to compete in a mechanical way against other games like MOBAs or Battle Royales, which was never really the point. The MMORPG was never trying to be the most technically advanced game, it was trying to be a digital third space, a social...
Do you understand, like, when people ask, why do you still cover and play Star Citizen? This is why. Do you ever understand why I talk about just adding these grinds and basic MMO experiences to Star Citizen? This is why. Because CIG already created everything they need for a really, really good MMO. They did way too much of it and kind of fucked it up to the point where they're not going to be able to, I think. But they really did everything they need to put you in a world that you want to be in. All that's left is adding everything from 20 years ago, and you're good.
Hangout with mechanics attached. I see MMORPGs as old-fashioned chat rooms with a game attached. And it's that community that played them, which people keep coming back for. You can endure a media...
Just give me missions to grind. I could care less about how many star systems are in. I would say same, but I don't want missions to grind. I want to know that, you know, the space version of a forest is out there, and I can go chop wood if I want to. The space version of a mine is out there, and I can go mine some rocks if I want to. I want to know that there's the space version of a dungeon, and I can go out there and crawl it. Like, and I make those choices. I'm so sick of the mission system. I think it's horrible. I think it's crap. And I think it is way too much of a focus of their priorities that it really ruins the game for me sometimes. But I do think that there's a place for it with questing, the main story, stuff like that. And a little bit of like, hey, you know, like gathering rep to get blueprints or whatever, right? So there is worth in them developing towards that, but there's been little to no development on the sandbox elements of the game whatsoever, and that's why I'm complaining about it. That's what I hate about the mission system, is it seems to be taking priority away from what I think the game actually needs. It's to put us in that world you built and let us live in it, please.
Mediocre game, just like a mediocre job, because the people around you make it fun. In fact, whenever I ask someone why they stopped playing any specific MMORPG, it's very rarely because of a technical or mechanical reason. It's often because their mates stopped playing, the community dried up, the social aspect slowed down. Indeed, the 100%. MMORPG genre has had the same few games dominate it for decades, not
Everybody looks at MMOs and goes, player base went down, dead game, done.
Not because they are the best designed video games, but because they are the best designed communities.
And every single modern MMO has badly designed worlds, progression systems, and pushing you towards community. New World didn't die because of Amazon. New World didn't die because of anything else other than horrible MMO design. Oh, so my character can be max skill in every skill possible? Sure, that's a bit of a grind, but once you get there, then what do? You don't need anybody? I don't need community whatsoever. What happens if I own a town or if I don't? Literally nothing. It doesn't matter. So it's like, where do modern MMOs start? Honestly, probably WoW. And WoW's not dead for a number of reasons, because of community, because of the world building, the storytelling, and I don't know, probably some level of sunk cost fallacy. But I think it did kind of start with WoW, where they I don't know, the whole seasonal play of World of Warcraft, right? WoW's dying, of course it is, because their new expansion isn't on the horizon just yet.
It's a symbiotic connection. The MMORPG game.
Final Fantasy 14, I'm going to be honest, I have not played that. I know enough about WoW through watching creators who play WoW, but I don't know anything about Final Fantasy 14, so I don't really want to comment on it.
Creates the community, and the community supports the game. Remove one, you often lose the other. Now, we have to understand, the vast majority of people who engage in a thing, be that a game, a sport, a music, a hobby, anything really, they don't engage with it beyond the thing itself. They are casual fans, and that's totally okay. People may listen to a band and enjoy the music, but anything further, such as knowing all the band members' names, their earlier works, which brand of equipment they use, that kind of doesn't matter to a casual enjoyer. That's more of a hardcore fan thing. People can enjoy an actor without knowing anything about the actor's personal life, and people can enjoy a video game without engaging with the forums or subreddit or real-life meetups of that game.
That just made me think, my brother's best friend is a movie star, and he has a new movie that's out, and apparently it's really good. It's the movie where like the guy and some girl crash land at an island, and like the guy treated the girl really bad. He was like the CEO of the company or whatever.
And this means the people who log into an...
Yeah, send help. Dylan O'Brien is my brother's best friend.
MMORPG, enjoy
we grew
it
up
and
together.
log out.
I bought his dad's car when I was a kid.
Are the casual fans. They aren't posting on forums or watching Twitch streamers or complaining about patch notes on YouTube videos. That's reserved for the more enfranchised hardcore. So when people tell me every MMORPG player is unhappy with the genre because they see a few people complaining online or a few people looking for a new game constantly, I have to remind people, you're only seeing people so enfranchised they actively engage beyond the thing itself. The people who are happy with whatever game they play are just playing that game. I have loads of friends who are totally happy playing RuneScape or World of Warcraft or Lord of the Rings Online, and when I ask if they would leave their game for a new MMORPG that is technically better, they say no. Not because they think the game they play already has the best graphics or the best music or the most amazing, incredible systems, but because to them, it's not just the game on a technical level, but the community and connection to the game which matters to them. So while this video is going to look into the type of people who give money to ambitious MMORPG projects, please understand we're talking about a subset of people within a subset of players.
Yeah, and I fit this subset. I know what he's going to say.
Within a subset genre. So we have a genre of game which often lives or dies on its community, with the people who are happy and comfortable in whatever their community is just enjoying being there. This means, from my experience of talking to many MMO players, the people constantly pining for a new MMO to come along and change things, the players most desperate to jump into something new, are often the players who aren't part of an established community in any other game.
I don't feel established community-wise in Star Citizen because we don't have a game. And I love EVE Online, and I feel the world is alive, but I haven't established myself in a community either. Like my corp, I don't spend that much time with and all that stuff. I'm trying actively now to do a lot more. Like I'm engaging way more with my corp, and I'm feeling more connected to Eve than I've ever felt now, and I'm inching away from the community-less MMO player and finding that like the game I'm playing I'm very happy with. I also have my org in Star Citizen, which I feel very connected to, but we don't have the game to sink our teeth into yet.
They don't feel they have a stable or solid guild or clanmates, sometimes even consistent online friends. There are often players who are trying to play MMO games without the support of also being in the community of those games, which means they have to judge the games not as a social hangout, but as a mechanical experience, and that's always been a weaker aspect. The players who are constantly looking for the next big thing.
You got bored of this guy 5 minutes into this video, probably because you're incapable of thinking and you're TikTok brained or something, because I think this video is like incredibly engaging and thought-provoking, and yeah.
Are often wrongly convinced it's the mechanical aspects of an MMO which will then build the community, and not the players constantly sticking together and interacting despite the mechanics not being the best.
For him. Yeah.
This means a new MMO won't capture players by just promising new mechanics, because the happy players are content playing whatever their game is, but promising a new community to be a part of.
This is why, listen, it doesn't even matter how good the game is. If the Riot MMO comes out, it's going to kill it. It's going to kill it. It's the same exact recipe as WoW did, right? Same exact recipe as WoW, which is you are engaged with some lore, these characters, and then we are going to create the world that all of these characters live in, right? They're like doing the recipe. They, instead of the movie, they did the show. Like the WoW movie, and all that stuff. And then they're going to build the world, and you get to play in it. I don't think I'll be engaged with it because I've never played a Riot game ever. But obviously they have a massive community, and then you're just going to build a world for them to play it in? Boom. It's going to kill it.
That's a human need. That's a very attractive marketing angle. That's why we see a systemic focus on highlighting all the ways these new games will have interconnected communities and how you as a player will matter.
I'm sorry. Imagine if Eve went more down that route. Imagine if Eve went further and told stories in a different way, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the best parts of WoW, as somebody who doesn't play WoW, is Rooks and Kings, but official. Yeah, because DJ got me into Rooks and Kings, and I watched a lot of that stuff. Super cool, but I mean more along the lines of the Kaldari, Galente, the Jove stuff. There's a lot of stories that can be told. I say the same thing about Stellaris. Stellaris could be the story between all of the empires and things like that. Could be made. They can write books. They can do movies, TV shows. It's all very, very cool stuff. And yeah, I mean, sci-fi shows do pretty well. And,
whenever a new MMORPG project needs funding, it focuses on marketing phrases like player-driven, player-created, skill-based, your story, guilds, clans, build your own city, game reacts to your actions, living, breathing world, non-repeatable quests, your choices matter. It's because those designs put the individual into a position of power within the game world, and being in a position of power is a strong desire for someone who wants to be important in an MMO, but doesn't feel that in any of the current ones.
Fair, but also, is that not just the MMO blueprint in so many games? You're kind of the hero of your own little, right?
Then a new game gets announced, a brand new MMORPG which will change things. It will be amazing, incredible, have systems that revolutionize the genre, change gaming forever. It will be everything you want it to be, and the people without a stable community in one of the existing games get very excited. Because to them, this isn't just a new game. It's a brand new chance at being involved in a community. One which
he does have a talent for saying the same thing repeatedly. He said the exact same thing in the first minute. Yeah,
which doesn't yet exist, and so hasn't had a hierarchy set. When a
But he says it with a fancy English accent, okay? Fuck.
Kickstarter asks for money for this brand new virtual world that will be everything you imagine, many people who support them aren't buying a product. They're buying a dream. Placing a down payment
100%.
on a future friendship group, investing in a social connection they don't have or haven't found in any current game. This is why announced games have such outlandish and incredible sounding design, 1,000-player battles, unique player housing systems, reactive worlds, player-driven economies on a micro level. A future which changes based on your decisions, skill-based everything. These mechanical features are indeed something the MMORPG genre doesn't usually go for, because of the technical limitations, or the mechanical quality was never really the focus of the genre. These claims of amazing things are for marketing, to grab headlines, and importantly, to give
Star Citizen in a nutshell.
The investors and the evangelical supporters something to preach to the non-believers about what the game will have once the game is actually made. Because
Star Citizen is doing things never done before. That's the best one.
Saying, I'm investing in this because I want to feel part of a community and haven't found one I gel with and feel this may create one I can be involved with from the start, thus grandfathering myself into the social fabric of society within the game and being important, doesn't flow as much as, the game is going to be sick because it has cool features your game doesn't have. It not only creates the us versus them mentality, but then actively supports it. This is why communities instantly spring up around unreleased games or projects, with people suddenly interacting, meeting other supporters, chatting via the Kickstarter comments, Discord groups which are formed, forums, YouTubers start to cover the information, communities begin to form around the game even though it doesn't exist, and anyone who is critical of the game often gets attacked by that community, because to the community that is forming, that game isn't just a game, it's the start of a new symbiotic relationship.
You hate watchers that are listening right now, I really hope you're just gonna have to listen to that again, because you're gonna have to just mentally go through this and realize. I hope you come to the realization that that's you.
Because to the community that is forming, that game isn't just a game. It's the start of a new symbiotic relationship between game and community, community and game, and critiquing any part of that process is attacking the process, preventing it from happening. And the process has to happen to form those connections, to maintain them, for them to be important at all. Because the game needs to exist for their community, their...
But is it wrong? What? What are you arguing here? I'm saying he's right. We're listening. I am one of the people critiquing Star Citizen for not being a game, for being literally just scamming you by telling you all these things you want to hear and not doing them. And then when they do them, they do them poorly. Right? But then when I say it, is it wrong to see a vision and follow it? No, of course not. But is it wrong to become a cult? Right about it? Yeah, probably.
Community and game, and critiquing any part of gets attacked by that community because it not only creates the us versus them mentality, but then actively supports it. This is what
Star Citizen versus Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen versus Star Atlas, Star Citizen versus any game made by a traditional studio. Right? Boom.
Communities instantly spring up around unreleased games or projects, with people suddenly interacting, meeting other supporters, chatting via the Kickstarter comments, Discord groups which are formed, forums, YouTubers start to cover the information, communities begin to form around the game even though it doesn't exist, and anyone who is critical of the game often gets attacked by that community.
Anyone who's critical of the game often gets attacked by that community. Everyone who's been critical about this game has always been right to be. The way they critiqued may not have been the best. Maybe they got facts wrong. Maybe they were just being a dick and like always critical, but never seeing any good in anything. But there was always some truth to what they were saying.
Because to the community that is forming, that game isn't just a game. It's the
Dude, how can you compare Star Citizen to anything? You can criticize, but compare how? Simply, it is still a video game. So you can compare it to any other video game in the MMO genre. Why aren't they doing this? Why are they taking the visuals so far and preventing the ability to create a game? It's a video. Like, what are you talking about?
start
Weird.
of a new symbiotic relationship between game and community, community and game, and critiquing any part of that process is attacking the process, preventing it from happening. And the process has to happen to form those connections, to maintain them, for them to be important at all. Because
the process has to happen because I've put everything into this, and I built a Discord, and I met friends, and I talked to them, and I bought $500 worth of ships. Like, it has to happen. No, it doesn't. And it can fail, and it will fail potentially. Like, Star Citizen is on the path to failure until it actually is successful, right? Because there's always the chance.
Game needs to exist for their community, their social group to exist. And if they have so much time to dedicate to this new one that doesn't even exist yet, it's often because they haven't found stability in another. The groups of players which form around a new game project and then become friends, and indeed real friends, often know on some level that the project is the glue holding the community together. And if the project fails, the friendships will fail and fall away too. Think about how...
Yeah, like Ashes, just like everything is done. And what's so sad is, like, I was looking at it and I was like, I think it's ready. I think I was ready to start, like, learning the mechanics, learning the world, and starting to, like, find a guild community. And I was, like, literally getting ready to.
How many times you've had work friends, then when you leave a job, you never see them again. It's the same principle, but with a game. Connection has value, and the people who support these projects do make connections and do value them, even though the game doesn't exist. And you're not wrong for valuing them. They are important.
But Mike, if Star Citizen fails, you'll still be my friend. We're not friends.
Things.
I don't know.
So why does this affect the MMORPG genre and player base so much? Disproportionately so. Why are MMORPG projects seeking millions in funding often more successful than, say, a smaller single-player game seeking far less? Well, if you want me to be candid and direct, it's because the MMORPG genre often encourages unhealthy play behaviors built around spending vast amounts of time inside it, and then rewards those who have strong community connections within the games, and thus access to stable and capable teammates to complete the harder content. This leads to a group of people who spend so long online they lose or damage real-life social connections. So when those players either burn out of a game, get kicked out of their community, or...
Who wants real-life social connections anyway? They're boring. People suck. So I'm good.
Leave for any other reason, you've got a subset of hardcore gamers who often place online gaming above real-life socializing, who want to...
That's me. I feel seen.
Spend hours and hours a day inside a virtual world, who are desperate for a new community to be a part of, and want to be important within that community. But they've already gone through the games that exist and haven't found what they're looking for. Often not because they haven't found a game they like, but because they're looking to be part of something beyond a game, part of a social group. And those isolated or displaced players are willing to throw money at the potential...
I had a really good social group in UO, but the game just was dying and it got boring.
...of connection within a world which doesn't exist, a world where they are who they want to be, because it happens in the future, where they could be anything. Marketing people in the audience will know you don't sell a product, you sell a lifestyle. As a product, an MMORPG game is a fading genre populated by an aging player base. But as a lifestyle, it's still a gaming connection that people want. And selling tickets to the next big thing grand opening gala is far more impressive and prestigious than waiting for the thing to open and then selling normal tickets. People want to be at the premiere because they get seen being at the premiere, and this makes them important within the community, which will hopefully form around the thing. Consider this. When a Kickstarter MMORPG, a project or game which does not exist and is not playable, gives people the opportunity to pay hundreds or even thousands of pounds to support it, people do. And people then defend doing so.
What about 100,000? What about 48,000?
Maybe they believe in the project. But more often, I've found it's because those people are buying the future fantasy of social involvement and a community they fit in. They are buying the potential of a dream. Now imagine if an existing MMORPG offered shop options of future things for hundreds or thousands of pounds, or things which may one day...
Whoa! Head explodes. I guess that's kind of what an expansion is. But like if a currently released game like WoW, Eve, like you paid for something and then they developed it, would you pay for that thing in that game? I don't think you would.
Exist. The communities would hate that. They'd call it greedy, a scam. They'd say, why are you asking for money for a product which doesn't exist within a game which does? And then consider the absurdity of this. Why are people more comfortable giving millions of...
This is why I watch this guy, because his brain functions differently than your average.
Pounds to a project which may possibly exist than giving the same amount of money to a project which actively currently does exist.
People would, because people are stupid, but way more people have an IQ level above that level, right? You just like his accent? Probably.
It's because they aren't buying access to the game. They are buying the dream, and a dream is always perfect. Again, understand that an MMORPG...
A dream's always perfect because it's in your mind, and it doesn't have to be their dream. It's whatever's in your head. I mean, Star Citizen is perfection from that standpoint.
Player who is just happy and content with their current game and their current community is not giving hundreds or thousands of pounds to a project promising a new one. The people often supporting these projects at the highest price points are desperate for a community to belong in, and these projects know that. Giving money...
Do you know the best part? Is those people are like your Montoyas, and I don't know, I'm not going to claim that like somebody like Montoya is desperate to be a part of a community or anything like that, but it's like your guys that spend so much money on this game, but then don't put the effort in to be a part of that community. Have you noticed that? Is you're putting a ton of time in, or put a ton of money in, but then you're not engaging in the community whatsoever because you're not playing. So it's like he's the best example I can give because he runs the biggest org in the game, but doesn't play it, right? So it's like, I'm not trying to like single him out. It was just very... You know, like that was the first person I thought of when he said that.
To a product which already exists means facing its flaws and facing the daunting task of ingratiating yourself into a community.
Guys, Ahoy is going to be the next big thing, I
promise. Which already exists. Climbing a social hierarchy, which already exists. And accepting you may not be an important person straight away. You may fade into the crowd. It means dealing with social engagement where your value comes from you and you alone, and making friends as an adult is hard, especially when everyone else already has years of connection to each other. It's daunting. If you're coming from another MMORPG that you've played for years, it might mean unlearning mechanical systems and learning new ones, the embarrassment of failure. But when a game is brand new, everyone's suddenly in the same position.
Yes!
You're not the new guy, the outcast, or the extra anymore.
But the problem with these Kickstarter MMOs is the game's never brand new. You're there while they're building it. It doesn't just come out and you play it. That's like kind of blows about it. I didn't really play any of the betas for New World. So like when it first came out, horrible video game, but you still got that day one excitement of nobody really knows what's going on. Let's fucking go, right?
You're suddenly one of the pioneers, the founders. You're in at the ground floor. And if the community grows, you won't just be some guy. You'll be one of the originals. And that...
Like when Star Citizen launches, if there's going to be lots of people that have never played before and they'll be playing it and they'll have that experience. We won't. We'll be going through the motions as quickly as possible, ruining the experience for ourselves because we already know how it all works.
Is a very attractive concept for people who don't currently have a community. But a new MMO, a brand new community, that's a new start. Everyone wants to connect. That's a fresh chance at being a someone, a chance at belonging. And if it's still being designed, maybe a chance to suggest tweaks and changes which will make it more like a game you once loved, to reclaim a level of familiarity. This is often why some of the highest...
I am being called out at this moment. He's talking about a person like me. This is me, and I feel like I'm about to get shit on.
Most expensive Kickstarter tiers have you designing aspects of the game. It's a way of saying, hey, not only is there a community, but you are important in it. This is another reason why so many Kickstarted MMORPGs often focus on the hardcore full loot PvP crowd, because those are often the players who, if not entrenched in a specific game long term, are so desperate to find a new community, because the games they latch onto often dwindle and die out, precisely because the design of them isn't conducive to holding a community long term. The players happy to ride the roller coaster of a theme park MMORPG, well, they're just doing that. And that's why the genre has been the same games for the past 10 years, because those are the communities which have endured, and that's why people will keep throwing money at new MMORPG projects, because those people haven't found a community they fit into yet, and the new game is promising to be just that. And that's why games almost never release, because the MMO genre is incredibly expensive, and even when they do, the community is small, and often proceeds to just keep getting smaller until it can't sustain itself and the cycle begins again. Another project appears, promising another dream, and people throw money at that one too. So the next time you see an MMORPG project like this, consider if you are being sold a dream of a potential future, and then try to wake up before deciding to give it your money. I firmly believe the MMORPG genre's greatest strength is not being the most technically advanced gaming experience, but the community within the games. Mechanically, all MMOs have glaring flaws. A brand new one won't change those. And a player desperate for a new MMORPG is often not crying out for a mechanical revolution within the game experience itself, but for a community to belong to experience the mechanics of the game with. This is why you won't see a WoW killer, no matter how mechanically advanced a new game is. Because it's never been about making a better game on a technical level. It's about displacing a community which has endured for decades, which you won't do.
I mean, Final Fantasy did, no? I feel like Final Fantasy has done the best to hurt WoW, not kill it. But we don't count weebs. I mean, fair, but I think it's probably displaced some of the player base of WoW to itself. Because they're like fairly similar, no?
It's why City of Heroes was revived. It's why old school RuneScape exists. It's why EverQuest is more popular than EverQuest 2. The communities of those games endured. And if you as an MMORPG player are waiting for the next big thing, maybe understand that it might not actually be a new game you're waiting for. It might just be a new community.
Yeah. I mean, Eve, that it's a 20-year-old game. And it feels like the next new big thing to me.
Within a game that exists
the more
right
I
now,
get into it.
Who would love to play that game with you and help you feel involved, connected, and wanted. Maybe in the future a new MMO will release and succeed. But until then, you don't need to give your money to people selling you a dream. When there are communities in games awake and playing right now who would love to have you. Go and find a community and have fun in a game which exists. Make those connections in the present. Instead of paying for a future which you may not get. Cheers.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. My internet's dying. Chris, is that you?
Thanks for watching. Another massive thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who help this channel stay alive. You can support from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter, Insta, and our Discord, a community you are welcome to join. And as always, have a great day.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. Good listen. I thought that was nice. It's a bit eye-opening. A wake-up call for me of like, yeah, I know I was buying into a dream, but why is that bad? It's why I didn't play Ashes, because I was expecting much more from the Alpha 2 test, and then I saw what it was and was like, fuck this. I'm not testing a game for this fucking clown. And I was just like, I'm good. I'll wait till it comes out and it's better. And it looked like it was getting a bit better. And I was like, ooh, I'm like, I'm seeing like decently looking PvP and some like, oh, they're like working towards killing this boss to get some loot to make a new weapon. And I was like, all right, I think I'm interested. But yeah, that and then it failed. So there goes that. But like when the next big thing comes around, yeah, I don't think I will cover it from afar if I cover it. And by covering it, it'll just be, is it out yet? And until then, I don't know if I really care. That's basically how I handled New World, and I had a great time in New World just because it was a new launch, and those are always fun. So like, I got my $20 out of New World, and that went nice and far for me. But the next I don't know. I liked everything about Ashes that was being said. I was like, I like that it's a submodel. I like that all that I thought it was going to do well, but it had to get to launch first, and yeah, it didn't. So there you go. But another really good talk from Josh Strife. So let me make sure I link the video to you guys so you can like it if you liked it. Obviously, I saw some of you didn't like it, saying he was repeating himself, but I think those points are worth repeating. So yeah.